Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton, the governor of Texas,
Attorney General.
Attorney General. I'm an idiot. Was actually impeached. But Robert, here's the thing: impeached on bribery and abuse of power. I've gotten so black-pilled cynical now that I take for granted the charges are bogus, but I'm trying to look it up. What were the actual bribery and abuses of power? And then I get even more cynical when I can't find a quick answer to that, because it seems that if the abuse of power and the bribery is so egregious it leads to the impeachment, I should be able to find that answer quickly. What is he alleged to have actually done specifically by way of bribery, which has a legal term, legal definition, and abuse of power, which also used to have a definition until the first impeachment? What did he do?
Basically, they accuse him of using his office to do favors for donors. That's the short summation. The problem they have is an independent law firm investigated the case and cleared him of it. So why are we here? We're here for two reasons. Ken Paxton has used the Attorney General's office in Texas politically more effectively to challenge a range of institutionally corrupt actors at the government and corporate level more than any Attorney General in recent memory anywhere, maybe in history. He led the effort to challenge the 2020 election to the U.S. Supreme Court. He announced just a week or so ago that he was opening an investigation into whether Pfizer and Moderna made false representations and engaged in other public conduct that was bad as to COVID-19 vaccines. That may be the chronology tipping all of these things. He's leading the effort against the Biden administration in a wide range of context, in not only immigration, but also other areas, including discriminatory policies as to guns, discriminatory policy on issues of race and farming, and discriminatory policies as to education, and as to illicit censorship efforts. And so he's been the lead on almost all these kind of cases, and he's been one of the most successful at doing so. And so from the beginning, he's had the Obama administration try to go after him on bogus securities charges. That case went nowhere. Then inside his office, the problem is that all these attorney general's offices, you have a bunch of career people who work there. Usually 90% of your attorney general's offices, district attorney's offices, are filled with careerists. And the problem is they're all overwhelmingly professional class, either corporate Republicans or liberal Democrats. So they don't like Paxton at all. And they don't like using their legal skill for populist causes. And so what happened is several of them, quote unquote, blew the whistle, which was hogwash. They tried to dig up dirt on him while working for him. Figured out what they were doing and canned him. And so they filed a bogus whistleblower claim that the state legislature is going to write a huge check to them for as payoff for them trying to help create a factual basis to out him. But this gives you an idea how the Texas legislature knows how weak their claim is. The Texas House refused to include a bunch of the exculpatory information, refused to allow him to testify on his own behalf, refused to allow any cross-examination of the witnesses against him, basically refused all the prospects of the process of adversarial process that we use to adjudicate truth in America.
Robert, this sounds a little bit like the Alex Jones trial coming out of Texas. I mean, the thing is, I was not following it this closely, so my skepticism now feels justified. How do they prevent him from? How do they prevent him from actually testifying?
Well, I mean, the Speaker of the House, and by the way, these are mostly Republicans, establishment Republicans in Texas. People can go back to watch the sidebar with Rachel Alexander. The problems in Arizona are present in almost every state, but they're really strong in Texas, where the establishment Republican Party is a old school corporate big oil, Rick Perry style, the Republican Party. It is not a working class hill country, East Texas, working class Mexican American Republican Party. It is at a voting level, but not in its representations. So the Speaker of the House is a notorious drunk. And if people doubt it, just go watch him handling the gavel during the speakers while he's on camera. So drunk, he can't say basic things correctly. The guy's drunk on his job.
What's the person's name, Robert?
I forget the guy's name. It's a weird name. It's like Dean Feeden or some nonsense.
Okay, I'm going to find this. Okay, sorry. Keep going. I'm going to see if I can find this in real time.
Dade Phelan, according to the chat at vivabarneslaw.locals.com. And so the Texas state legislature, I mean, like, to give you an idea, the Speaker of the House guy has done secret deals with Democrats, put Democrats in charge of committees. Just shows that even you can have super majority and yet your populist audience voice is not heard. Trump came out and said anybody who voted for the impeachment, he'll campaign against. That's a majority of the Republicans in the Texas State House. So there needs to be follow-up on that. There needs to be primary challengers against every single one of these candidates. Because what is they're accustomed to in Texas is they're accustomed to Lyndon Johnson style politics. If you want some better detail as to what that was like, look at the various Lyndon Baines Johnson shows on America's Untold Stories with Eric Hunley and Mark Robert, which crossed the 10 million viewership threshold this past week, and to see what kind of politics was like under LBJ in Texas. And it's still that way in Texas. And but I think it's to the shock of many ordinary Republicans. To give you an idea, George P. Bush, who was supposed to be the future Bush in office because he was half Latino, ran against Paxton in the last election. They thought with the Bush name and the Bush political machine in Texas that they would beat Paxton. Paxton beat the living daylights out of Bush. He lost by a 3-1. Bush lost by a 3-1 margin. So there's no question what the people in Texas, the ordinary Bay voter, wants. They want more Paxton, not more dimwit drunk speakers of the House running their state. But the drunk dimwits are so power hungry that what they've done is they've come in and impeached him on short notice and without meaningful due process of any kind, without adversarial process. They know their evidence is so weak, they're scared to allow cross-examination. Didn't even have direct testimony. I mean, there was even a Democrat who spoke out again, who was in the Texas House, who hates Paxton, who said, this is a complete crock. This isn't anything like due process. He goes, I'm supposed to listen to all this hearsay and I'm supposed to make a judgment about it? Because you got to be kidding me.
So first of all, I'm yelling that the freaking dog is barking, and we're in a hotel. It's dog friendly, but I still don't think people want to hear our dogs barking at the front door. Second thing, Robert, oh my goodness, I'm also laughing because I found this. This is not me, people. This is from news. I say this is from news. I'm saying that it's tongue in cheek. 12 News Now. Watch this. I thought I was watching something fake.
Mr. Campbell sent an amendment. The amendment is acceptable to the author. Is there objection to the opposite amendment? The chair hears none. The amendment is adopted.
So I'm not trying to be funny, Robert. I don't know if this person has a medical. He
doesn't.
condition.
That's the Speaker of the House. He's a drunk.
But Robert, there's drunk and there's drunk. I swear to you, I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm going to play this again. This is.
Mr. Campbell sent an amendment. The amendment is acceptable to the author. The chair hears none.
Robert, that's blackout drunk. Yes. Did anybody understand what
that's
he just
said? That's how bad. And this, by the way, has been happening repeatedly.
Mr. Johnson.
And Ezra, I mean, what's the Texas legislature doing?
Mr.
Having
Johnson
this guy
Harris.
be the Speaker of the Texas State House.
No, but Robert,
how embarrassing this is. I mean, basically everybody who voted for this impeachment should resign from the Texas state legislature.
Robert, I
never run for office again.
I refuse to believe that this person doesn't have a medical condition.
He doesn't. In opposition to the bill.
I don't know.
And you can tell by the language, like if it's neurological, like Biden's, it changes. It's not like a drunk. It'll just be absence of words, sudden loss of memory, etc. Whereas here,
that is because I'll tell you this: I can get tipsy. I can even get, drunk.
I've never been that drunk.
I've been
drunk. I've driven blackout drunk, so I had no memory of how the heck I drove home.
Don't say that, Robert.
Still, people talking to me didn't have any idea that I was drunk because that's the guy that led the effort to impeach the attorney general.
But Robert led it. I mean, they destroyed it. It was 120 something to 20 something. Let me just say the number was 121 to 23.
That's how bad the Texas State House is. And I think, but it also tells you, is it a coincidence they're going after Paxton right at the time DeSantis not his campaign, people should be much more skeptical of the people really pushing DeSantis because you're seeing these coordinated efforts. You're seeing things happen around the same time where any key person in a populist position, James O'Keefe taken out, Tucker Carlson taken out, DeSantis runs, and Paxton they're trying to take out. I mean, at some point, these quit being coincidences when these key Trump allies in positions of influence and power are being constantly targeted by the same overlapping groups. And I can tell you, as a matter of fact, key DeSantis supporters are the ones behind the Ken Paxton impeachment effort in Texas.
I'm sorry, I just have to read. Bubba Conda says, "Viva acting Canadian again. He must have a disability." No, because I don't think I like you say, Robert. I could be unconscious, walking drunk, and I will never sound or look like that. But hold on. So it got destroyed in the House. Is the Senate going to overturn it, or are they going to ratify it?
No, they have to get 2/3 conviction in the Senate. He is suspended in the interim.
Yeah,
He's
but
not
so
allowed to do his job in the interim.
How does that make sense? Like, at least when Trump was impeached, he still carried on as
It's a Texas
Trump.
provision.
Okay.
So we'll see what Governor Abbott's up to and whether he's going to do the right thing or the wrong thing by who he appoints in the interim but the belief is of the people I've talked to that the state Senate is not nearly as corrupt as the Texas State House and that they will reject the impeachment and Paxton will be back in power.
Yeah, so I'm not going crazy. Paxton was the guy who went after cuties, Netflix cuties as well. Is he not? Let me just make sure. Where's my hammer? Where's my hammer, Robert?
Led the effort on tons of controversial issues, and that's why he's been a constant target by Democrats. Been a constant target. And like the other people, they said, by the way, these whistleblowers have been out there for years. They're like, the Biden administration hates this guy. If there was any truth to the allegations against him, they would have already indicted him. They've already shown no political limitation in how they'll weaponize the Department of Justice. Wow. It means the case is so weak that they know not to go near it. Like I said, independent law firm cleared him of all the factual allegations. So there's no basis to this. These are bogus, politically motivated, so-called fake whistleblowers. They're not really blowing the whistle. They're out to politically to overturn an election because they don't like the fact that Paxton won so easily in 2022. Crushing Bush family regime and then crushing the Democrats.
Amazing. And people in the chat are just going crazy here. He criticized Pfizer, as did James O'Keefe, and people are saying they're going to vote for Paxton.
That is the timing. 2 weeks ago, he announces he's going to open an investigation into Pfizer. All of a sudden, they launch an impeachment effort in the Texas State House.
Oh.